a rainy night in a quiet French town, two sisters who never spoke to anyone speak only to each other. And by morning, the house they serve will be the most infamous address in France. It is the evening of February the 2nd, 1933. The town is Le Mans, a place of slate roofs and narrow streets, of church bells and bourgeois respectability. Inside a tall house on the Rue Bruyère, two young women move silently through the rooms. They are sisters. They cook, they clean, they iron, they disappear. The family they serve barely sees them. Tonight, the lights flicker and die. A single blown fuse plunges the upper floor into darkness. It is the smallest accident imaginable, and it is about to end two lives, destroy two more, and haunt a nation for a century. Their names are Christine and Léa Papin. Tonight, they stop being invisible. To understand what happens in that darkened house, you have to understand the silence that fills it. Christine Papin is 27. Léa is 21. They are the daughters of a broken family from the French countryside, raised apart in convents and foster homes, scarred by a childhood neither of them ever fully describes. Out of that fractured upbringing comes a bond so intense it frightens the people around them. The sisters are inseparable. They share a room, share their wages, share a single bed. They almost never speak to others. They go out only together, walk the streets arm in arm, and return without a word. The world outside the two of them seems hardly to exist. For several years, they work as live-in maids for the Lancelin family. Monsieur René Lancelin, a retired solicitor, his wife, Madame Léonie Lancelin, and their grown daughter, Geneviève. By the standards of the time, the household is comfortable and exacting. The sisters are considered excellent servants, clean, efficient, hard-working, almost mechanical in their reliability. They are also, by every account, treated as furniture. Madame Lancelin is described as a demanding mistress who inspects the housework with a white glove and communicates her displeasure in cold, clipped corrections. There is no cruelty of the dramatic kind. There is something quieter and heavier. Years of small humiliations, of being watched and judged and never truly seen. The sisters absorb it in silence. The pressure has nowhere to go, and inside that pressure, something is slowly coming apart. The afternoon of February the 2nd is ordinary. Monsieur Lancelin is out. He plans to meet his wife and daughter at a friend's home for dinner. Madame and Geneviève go into town to shop, then return to the house on the Rue Bruyère in the early evening. The two maids are upstairs. And then the house goes dark. The electric iron has tripped a fuse, not for the first time. The lights on the upper floor fail. It is a trivial fault, the kind of thing that is fixed and forgotten, but to Christine, in this moment, it is something else entirely. She fears Madame's reaction. She fears the cold correction, the inspection, the disapproval that has hung over the house for years. When Madame and Geneviève come upstairs and discover the darkness, an argument begins on the landing. Voices rise in a house where voices almost never rise. What happens next takes only minutes, and it transforms two quiet servants into figures of national horror. The confrontation explodes into sudden, overwhelming violence. The sisters turn on the mother and daughter together as a single unit, the way they do everything. When it is over, Madame Lancelin and Geneviève are dead on the first-floor landing. The sisters do not flee. They do not hide what they have done. They clean the weapon they used, wash their hands, climb the stairs to their attic room, undress, and lie down together in their shared bed. And they wait, in the dark, for whatever comes next. Hours later, Monsieur Lancelin rose uneasy. His wife and daughter never arrived for dinner. He returns home to find the house locked from the inside and dark, with a faint light burning in the servant's window high above. He cannot get in. He fetches the police. When the officers force the side gate and enter the house, they walk into a scene that will define the case forever. On the landing, they find the two women. Nearby, the household is undisturbed. No robbery, no forced entry, no stranger in the night. The doors were locked from within. Whatever happened here, it came from inside the house. The police climbed to the attic. There, in a single bed, by the light of one candle, they find Christine and Léa Papin lying together, partly undressed, calm. They do not resist. They do not deny anything. Almost at once, they confess. They tell the investigators that they acted together, that the violence began on the landing in the dark, and that they did it side by side. There is no elaborate plan, no hidden motive of theft or revenge stretching back years. There is only the fuse, the argument, and the sudden, total collapse of whatever had been holding them together inside. The confessions are detailed, consistent, and shared, and yet they explain almost nothing. Investigators, and soon the entire country, are left staring at a single, impossible question. How do two ordinary domestic servants, with no record of violence, no criminal history, no warning, commit an act of such ferocity over a blown fuse? The answer the authorities reach for is the bond between the sisters themselves, that fused, sealed-off world of two in which the rest of humanity had become unreal. Almost immediately, the case becomes a national sensation. The French press seizes on it. Photographs of the two sisters, one image of them looking composed and respectable, another of them after their arrest, hollow-eyed and transformed, are printed across the country. Intellectuals pour in. The surrealists celebrate the sisters as figures of revolt against a suffocating bourgeois order. The psychoanalyst Jacques Lacan writes a study of Christine's mind and the phenomenon of their shared madness, a so-called madness of two. The case becomes a mirror in which all of France argues about class, servitude, sanity, and the hidden lives of the people who serve in silent houses. The trial opens in Le Mans in late September 1933, and the town fills with spectators and reporters. The central question is not whether the sisters did it, they have confessed, but whether they were sane when they did. The defense argues that the two women, locked into their private world, were not in control of their minds. Doctors disagree. The court is unmoved. Christine, judged the older, dominant sister, the will behind the act, is condemned to death. Léa, cast as the follower, is sentenced to 10 years of hard labor. The sisters are separated. And here the story reveals its final, quiet tragedy. Apart from Léa, for the first time in her adult life, Christine collapses. She refuses food. She is racked by hallucinations and despair, reportedly crying out for her sister, trying to tear at herself. Her death sentence is commuted to life imprisonment, but the punishment that destroys her is not the threat of the guillotine. It is the loss of Léa. She is moved to an asylum, declines steadily, and dies in 1937, only a few years after the crime, still a young woman. Léa serves her sentence, is released early for good behavior, and vanishes. By some accounts, she returns to live quietly with her mother under a changed name, and works again as a maid. Reports of how and when she finally dies differ, and the truth slips away into the fog of an ordinary, anonymous life. The very anonymity the sisters once had, before one dark evening took it from them. What remains is the question that has never closed. Jean Genet turned them into theatre with his play The Maids. Filmmakers and writers have circled the case for decades. And still, no one can say with certainty what truly happened inside those two minds, whether it was madness or rage or a love so total it had no room left for the world. Two sisters, bound so tightly that the rest of humanity dissolved, wrought to ruin by a blown fuse on a winter night. So here is what we leave you with. If a single failed light could unleash all of that, how much was already broken in the dark long before? And could anyone at all, have seen it coming?